will talk about hardware aspect of computer system. Myself, Dr. Sompal Singh. I am basically a pathologist with interest in statistics and programming. So, a computer is a device that receive information or input data from user. So we feed the data in computer, and data can be any information. For example, if I type uh, a letter A from my keyboard, it will be an input for a computer. The computer process that information, and then after processing, it provide me information which is output after processing the data. So this is a, an approximate definition of a computer system. This is my drawing of computer system. It has these input devices here and a central processing unit, CPU, and these are the output devices. So data input is by using these devices, then CPU process the data, and CPU provide us with output information using either of these output devices. Other devices which are there like external storage, card and pen drive. So these are the uh, peripherals of the computer and computer system. So we will discuss each of these three components basically: input devices, central processing unit, and output devices. First, I'll talk about the central processing unit. What is there inside this CPU box? So inside the CPU box, most important component is a processor. A processor can be from various manufacturers, the which we know is Intel, and nowadays it is Intel i7. It may be i5, i6, i4, i3, and previously there used to be dual core processors, and much prior to dual core there were Pentium processors, and similarly. The other manufacturer is Athlon processors, which are also known as AMD processors. And there are another processors for smaller systems like small palm top computers, and these processors are known as Atom processors. They are also powerful processors. So inside the CPU box, the important component is a processor. Then the processor uses a volatile memory for its functions. A memory is a storage device. So it uses a volatile memory known as random access memory, or RAM. So RAM or RAM can be like 1 GB, and nowadays it can be up to 8 GB. So if you are a programmer or you are in a job of making computer games, then you need a bigger RAM like 8 GB RAM. Then there are other physical storage devices. This was a volatile storage device, RAM. When you switch off your computer or a laptop, everything inside the RAM vanishes. But these are the permanent storage systems, for example, hard drive or hard disk. So inside computer or a laptop or even your smartphones, there is a stable storage uh, structure which is known as hard drive. The stable storage can be in the form of CD-ROMs or CD. ROM means read-only memory. CD-ROMs or CD rewrite. Then there are slots for input and output devices. So this is the uh, basically what is inside CPU box. What is the history of processor? History of processor can be divided into 4 generations. Some will say that there are 5 generations of processors. The first generation uh, processors were made up of vacuum tubes. These are vacuum tubes. And somewhere in 1940, an example of the first generation processor is IBM 650. Then came transistors. Transistors are solid state structures or electronic, uh, you can say, components which are solid state. This was in a vacuum state, and this is a solid state structure known as transistors. And the second generation computers, they were in existence somewhere in 1956. An example is IBM 7090. Then if you combine the transistors in a single system, it is known as integrated chip or IC, and such computers were known as third generation computers somewhere in around 1964, and an example is IBM 360. Then came fourth generation computers. The processor of fourth generation computer look like this structure, and this structure is known as very large scale integrated circuit. IC stands for integrated circuit or integrated chip. So it was VLSI. And some will say that there are fifth generation systems, the thought process of which originated from Japan, and they they thought that fifth generation computers will utilize artificial intelligence in computing. So this was about generations of computers. Similar to generations of the processors or computers or hardware, there are generations of programming languages. First generation was machine language. The machine or a computer system understand only two things, that is yes or no. If a current is flowing, it is yes. If it is not flowing, it is no. So this system is known as binary system, and it is written in the form of 0 and 1. 0 means no and 1 means yes. And this language of zeros and ones is known as machine language. So first generation language is machine language. Then came second generation language. It was low level programming language such as assembly languages. So assemblies are components of software or DLL files which are there in our computer. They use second generation language. Then came third generation language. Third generation language are structured high level programming languages such as C language. Then nowadays we program using 4th-generation languages, which are object-oriented languages. So in the programming language nowadays, there are objects, and we program using those objects. These objects are abstract objects. They are not real life objects. These are abstract objects. And we do programming in 4th-generation language, and the operating system, the program, the compiler compiles our program and convert 4th-generation to machine language. And the instructions which we write in terms of 4th-generation is converted into machine language, and that is how our computer understand what we want it to do or not to do, or what to do with which data. So this is about briefly about programming languages. This is a concept of object-oriented programming. I already discussed a little bit about it. If any student is interested, we can discuss it after this lecture. So what is a processor? So I told you that nowadays there are 4th-generation processors, and they are in the form of very large scale integrated circuits. This is the actual processor. And inside this processor, there are two components. One is the actual processor, the other is the volatile memory system, which is used by the processor. And this volatile memory system, the first one is known as registers, and the second is known as cache. So these registers and cache are small sized memory systems which are there inside this processor. And this processor uses these for various calculations. It is the immediate memory available to the processor, and it is integrated inside it. So what are the units of processors? So one unit is known as control unit. It controls the entire processor. And there are two basic units known as arithmetic unit and logic unit. So computer system is based only on these two units. And first unit is known as arithmetic unit, the second is known as logic unit, and the third one is the control unit. So this arithmetic unit perform arithmetic functions like 2 plus 2, 2 plus 3, 1 plus 1, and so on. And the other need for computing is the logical thinking, like whether a variable A is more than a variable B. So this is not related to additions, subtractions. This is a logical thinking. So basically, computer system or processor of a computer system have arithmetic unit and a logical unit. And these are the only two units on which any computer system is based in this world. So these are the units of processor. So what are the storage devices? This is the list of storage devices. This box represents processor, and I already discussed about these volatile memories which are integrated inside this processor. First one is register, the other one is cache. And after this is the random access memory. This random access memory is also a volatile memory. Whenever your computer is switched off or your mobile phone is switched off, everything inside this random access memory disappear. And below these are the stable memory systems or persistent memory systems in which data remains. And the uh, fastest of these is the solid state disk. Nowadays, if you go to market and buy a computer, and if you go for latest configuration, then you will find that there is no hard disk in the computer, but there is SSD. And this SSD is solid state disk. The other form of physical memory or non-volatile memory is hard disk drive, which we all know that every computer we have uh, contains hard disk inside it. And the hard disk store our data. And our data is stored in the form of files or computer files. These are below these two, that is SSD and HDD. There are these external storage devices, and these include floppy disk. Uh, Many of you probably have never seen uh, floppy disk. Floppy disk used to be a small disk of capacity 1.5 MB. Then came, after floppy disk, then came optical disk. And example of optical disk include CD or compact disc and DVD or digital video disc. These are external storage medias. Now after these, nowadays there are flash drive known as pen drives. So nowadays we commonly use pen drives because they are small, they are handy, and they are easy to use. They can be used directly by plugging into USB port of computer. Magnetic tapes are basically, these are the ancient systems of storing. These magnetic tapes, they are, this data is stored linearly in the on the magnetic tape. Unlike the data which is stored in a circular fashion, data is stored in circular fashion in SDD, in floppy disk, in optical disk. It is stored in a circular fashion. So you can randomly pick up any data from the circle. But in a magnetic tape, tape is a linear tape. So to pick up a data from certain point on a tape, you need to move the pointer to that point on tape. So it is a smaller, slower system of retrieving the data. These are the faster systems, and the fastest is the SSD. The magnetic tape is the, I think it is the smallest among the, slowest among these, but it has a potential for storing lot of data. So it is not obsolete. It is used sometime somewhere. So we must know about these magnetic tapes. So these are the storage devices. Uh, these are the approximate capacities of storage devices. A RAM, I told you that it is a volatile memory, uh, random access memory. Nowadays, I know of up till 8 GB RAM, and sooner it will be more. Then solid state disk, I told you about SSD. Nowadays, the latest system are coming with SSD, and there is no SDD in them. The SSD which I know of is up to 500 GB. Hard disk drives nowadays are 1 terabytes or more. CD-ROM, one CD used to store about 600 to 700 megabytes of data. A DVD used to store about 4 GB to 27 GB of data. GB stands for gigabyte, MB stands for megabyte, and TB stands for terabyte. Then there are flash drives, which are of variable capacity. So these are the storage capacities of these storage devices. Now, what are the input devices? Initially, I show a computer system with lot of input devices, and this is the part of that diagram on the right side. Uh, the most important input device is the keyboard. Keyboard usually have 101 keys, alphanumeric letters, and on right side of the keyboard there is usually a number pad or a accounting area where you can type numbers and do accounting systems. And there are also function keys usually on top of the top layer of the keyboard there are function keys. The other input device is mouse. Mouse have uh, two standard buttons. One is left button used for left click and the right button for right clicks. Left click is usually for selecting a particular object in our computer screen, and right click is used to display the properties associated or methods associated with that object. For example, if I want to select a particular file on my computer, I will point to that file and click my left mouse button. The file will be selected. Then I will click my right mouse button and the methods associated with that file, for example, copy the file, move that file, rename that file, open that file, all those things will be displayed by the right button. Sometimes we have a wheel associated with the mouse and it is used for scrolling the screen. If screen is very big to accommodate the size of our display, then we can use wheel for scrolling. Uh, the other input device is trackball. Trackball is something like inverted mouse. So if you invert a mouse, previously mouse used to have a rotating ball below it. And if invert that mouse, the ball will be upwards. And if you move that ball, then cursor will move accordingly on the computer screen. That is known as trackball. Trackball is a device which is different from mouse, but it is something like inverted mouse. Then we have touchpad. Touchpad are present in our laptop below the keyboard of laptop. They have left click, right click, and touch sensitive area. Then we have joystick or gaming console. So joystick is used for playing computer games. Then we have scanners. By scanning a document, you can also input a data in computer. So scanners can be flatbed scanners, where scanning element moves under a flat document. So you put your document on the scanner, scanning element will move and scan that entire document. Then the other scanner is known as photo scanner. Here document page or page of your document goes inside the scanner. Your scanning element is stationary and the document move over that scanning element. And in that process, the entire document is scanned. So these are some of the common input devices. Then output devices. Most commonly used output device is the monitor, the computer monitor, which I have drawn here. Previously, there used to be cathode ray tube monitors. The cathode ray tube, commonly known as picture tube. Previously, our television sets, they were based on this technology of picture tubes. There used to be bulky television sets, and similarly, monitor of computer were also based on cathode ray tubes. Now we have LCD and LED monitors. LCD stands for liquid crystal display, and LED for light emission diode. The other output system, the equipment is known as projector. Uh, Projector is similar to monitor, but it projects on a screen. Then we have output devices like printers. Printer can be of three types: inkjet printer, which uses liquid ink; laser printers, which uses powder toner in the form of powder; and we have dot matrix printers. Then the other input output device is known as modem. Modem are also nowadays obsolete. Uh, Modem stands for modulator and demodulator because they used to convert digital signals to analog signals, and conversely analog signals to digital signals, because previously internet was through telephone line, and telephone line previously, even nowadays MTNL line, these are analog signals. These are not digital signals. So modem used to convert those signals in digital signals. So I think this is for today. Uh, have a good day.